I'm not gonna lie to you, that was pretty anticlimactic. Thank you to our $5 patrons, Sinis Lancelot and Artgoon, and a big thank you to our $25 patron, the Mr. Greed. Now, before we have this breakdown / review of chapter 179 of Jujutsu Kaisen, please do me a favor, leave your own notes on the chapter in the comment section down below, leave a like, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure to hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Now, let's get into last week's poll. So last time I asked y'all who you thought was going to fall out the domain first, right? Because we know domains typically lose depending on their polish and how deeply tied to one's domain a person is. So you obviously had three options here. You had Yuta, Ryu, and Uro, or Takako, whichever you want to call her. And we get to see that with a landslide victory, we all thought Ryu's domain was going to be too simple to keep him in the game. We all thought, he going to fall out first. It's probably just going to be a laser beam fest, and bada bing, bada boom, it's all over. But interestingly enough, I'm kind of shocked that Yuta didn't get the least amount of votes here, but shockingly enough, Takako had the most faith in her because, to be fair, her domain should be the most complex when you really think about it, because it literally would be the heavens itself. She would probably have to construct that, and the level of detail and intricacy that could take, and notably she's a master assassin too, so the level of practice she would have with her domain would probably be beyond the other two. So it was a really, really cool concept. I was really excited to see the domains. I really was. However, thank you for everyone who participated in last week's poll. All 99 of you got your vote in, and I thank you for that. I love doing community polls because they're just a good consensus for the community as a whole and what we thought of a certain chapter, what we think is going to happen in the next chapter. So make sure you get your vote out when the poll drops tomorrow at 12. Now, enough of this. Let's get right into chapter 179. What's up, guys? I got Hunter, and here we are to chapter 179 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is known as Sendai Colony number 6, aka the first miss. Is this the first miss since Yuta's gotten on? And to be fair, it's not like a hefty miss, but like you can't do that, right? Like the amount of hype that was built up after the last chapter's final pit, you can't do what you did in this chapter, Gege, and expect me to be like 10 out of 10. Nah, bro. Like I get it. Like he explains it so, but okay, let's hop right into the chapter itself. So we open up with exactly where we left off. All three of our supreme sorcerers are using domain expansion, Ryuki Tenkai, and I'm excited, I'm hyped. Like, this is the first panel we're seeing. We get to see a focus in on all their eyes. They're ready to activate their supreme techniques. And notably, we start to get an instant explanation of domains again, or at least what happens when multiple domains clash. According to the narrator, when domains collide, their respective must-hit techniques will cancel each other out. Hibokotsu from getting an advantage here. They cannot let Rika enter the barrier. The barrier. Uro and Ishigori's interests are aligned. Even if someone enters the barrier later, I don't want to waste my time. We're going to settle this sweetly. Interestingly enough, obviously Ishigori wants to win, right? But wouldn't he get a more delicious feast if he let Rika in the barrier? And what's to say that Yuta couldn't just despawn Rika and resummon her in the barrier? Like, he literally pulls her out of nowhere. She obviously isn't that reliant on actually traveling places. She can just appear. At least from what we've seen, she has literal portals. So if Yuta spent like 5 extra seconds to be like, hey, yo, Rika, come through, she probably would be able to come through. But I can get why Takako doesn't want Rika there, because Rika bullies her. Well, to be fair, Rika bullies everyone here. But still, kind of shocking. Kind of shocked that Ishigori ain't up for the challenge, especially considering what happens at the end of this chapter. However, we get to see the domain being formed. I think this is the first time we've ever seen a domain form from the outside, like the actual barrier itself being created. And I guess it makes sense that it's all the same color, because like the basics for a barrier is the same across all sorcerers. But it is interesting to see like all the different overlapping folds coming together and kind of like fighting against each other already, because these are 3 different people casting 3 different domains, so they likely had to release all their own different types of barrier techniques. And it's interesting to see Rika just watching like, what? I'm not sure how much sentience this one has relative to the original and relative to Yuta right now, but notably, we know this thing has some leftover feelings and like emotions, because it can feel pain, it can react to things, and it has affection for Yuta still. So I wonder if does it understand domains? Or is it just like, barrier wall, weird. And notably, we get to see that Rika had been thrown 20 meters away by Ishigori's attack, and thus it was pretty much impossible for it to like blitz over and stop them before they enter the domain. And notably, once the domain is solid, it's going to be difficult for even something like Rika to break in, because this is a domain formed by 3 separate people of extremely high power. So maybe if it was like one of them making a domain, Rika could easily just like stick her fingers through it and tear it apart. But 3 high-level sorcerers overlapping their domains would be extremely difficult. However, we do see that apparently thanks to the will that Rika Orimoto left this Rika, it still has the ability to amplify itself through emotion. So essentially this is like it's Rika from the end of Volume 0. Like, it's the exact same thing, just without the soul still being trapped in there, meaning it still has a lot of the childish tendencies and ideology, but at the same time, it still has all the raw power that Rika once did. So that does clarify that it is somewhat sentient, but mainly just a shell of what it was due to the lack of the soul being there. But I don't think it lost any power, because notably we get to see it opens its big massive eye beam, or its eye that it fires the laser out of, and it demands that they give Yuta back. And I wonder if something else didn't happen. Would Rika, because notably the chapter goes out of its way to say Rika's power output has reached a new level. So I'm assuming what happened here is that Rika ended up copying Ishigori, right? Because the thing was, Ishigori's curse technique is revealed later on in the chapter to be his output, and Rika, in a desperate attempt to get Yuta out of the domain, was going to use something like a granite blast from her eye. And notably, we know she already had something similar, but it says a new Rika's power output has reached a new level. So we already know she had an insane level of power output at the end of JJK 0. But it's reached even a higher level than that. The only higher level of output we've really seen is either via a domain or via Ishigori. So maybe that's something to do in the arsenal. And like I said, it's entirely possible that Yuta can start wielding their techniques now. Like, if he really can just copy, and we know he doesn't have to, like, at least as far as I know, there's no special conditions to his copy technique. He just needs to witness it. Like, I don't think he ate any of Tokomaki's DNA for some weird stuff like that. I don't think he ended up killing Inumaki. I don't think he did any of that. I think he literally just saw it as like, I bet I understand it. So he could hypothetically start using their curse techniques at this point. He's gotten hit by them. He's had a decent understanding of them. And those, honestly, once this battle is done, the 2 techniques that he picks up from here, those are some powerhouses. He can literally use them in of themselves, like, to combo into each other. Like, he could fire off a granite blast, then yank space to delay it, and then throw people's time. The crazy combos you can do now. However, we get to see that we won't get to see what the domains look like, because in this moment, Kurushi comes back, and this is, I don't know, this whole chapter not only feels weirdly anticlimactic, but also just feels weird in general, right? Because I thought when you were in a domain, it was like an absolute space. It was an absolute territory. So you couldn't really interact with anything. Like, things would have to come in and interact with you. Like, you don't necessarily hear people on the outside. You're in a barrier. And that barrier is supposed to be, like, sealed shut to whoever you have it around. So the fact that they all react to Kurushi screaming, "I love the taste of iron," like they can all hear him, kind of weird, especially considering the barrier is totally formed. They should be in the middle of a domain clash right now. So I know they all have pretty enhanced senses and high sensory ability, but it was kind of weird seeing them all react. I get it, it's a cool shot. It's a very cool panel. Nice work, Gege. But still, kind of strange that they could all hear. Maybe it's a thing, but does that mean someone can hear you inside an infinite void? Or, like, I don't, like, if this were Sukuna's domain expansion, it would make sense, because Sukuna doesn't cast a barrier at all. He just sets rules up within a limited area. That makes sense. But for them to be able to hear this declaration through a barrier when all 3 of them should be fighting for their lives, kind of nutty, I'm not gonna lie. However, speaking of nutty, the Kurushi's return is kind of nutty, because essentially that is a cool name though. The Black Demon of the modern era dances in the barrier, and it's weird, right? Like, I guess he dances in the barrier, not outside of it. So apparently, Outside the barrier, strengthened cockroaches are keeping Reach's attention. Before going dormant, Kurushi managed to reproduce via parthenogenesis. When the parent died, the cursed energy from the entirety of Japan's fear was transferred into the body of its children. Even if the player Kurushi has died, the cursed spirit Kurushi continues to thrive. What's even more complex than the two-way domain expansion is a three-way domain duel. Because of the differences between internal and external conditions for building their barriers and the influence of unexpected intruders, the barrier collapses. Now, notably, part of me wants to give Gege a pass for this because I just don't think he's up to drawing it. Like, and then that's not an offense to his artistic ability. I know Gege could draw it. He could draw it amazingly, but he went on break because of his health. He had a whole month hiatus because of his health. Like, the man has limitations, and I don't want him to push himself. So as disappointed as I am that we don't even get to see a whiff of what was going on inside that barrier, other than the fact that I guess Kurushi was in it. Like, my only question is, when? How? Like, was he linked to something? How did Kurushi get in there? Was he just there and they just didn't notice him because he was tiny and then he blew up? Like, I don't necessarily get how, you see, before going dormant, Kurushi, I don't really get it. Because notably, it says that Kurushi is dancing inside the barrier. And that's the thing, we don't get to see what the barrier looks like at all. So despite there being a triple domain battle going on in there, we don't see anything. We just know that Kurushi somehow was in there, and they just didn't notice. Like, and I don't know. Maybe he shrunk and grew big. I don't know. I'm just kind of confused. Like, I'm not gonna lie. This whole chapter just felt weird. It felt weird up until the very end, where I got hyped again. But even then, like, not gonna lie, as much as I will give Gege the pass on the health front. However, if I were to do a thing, separate content from creator for a moment, that is the most anticlimactic thing you could have done there. Like, not going to lie, giving us multiple text boxes on why a domain of that level, like there's fake bridging hype moments, and then there's that. Like, this feels so weird. Like, why would you introduce such an enticing concept and then not show us any of it? Like, at all. You had 3 of the strongest sorcerers we've ever seen all activate the peak of Jujutsu sorcery. Ended a chapter with that. Build up the hype across an entire week. And nope, let's just bring back a random cursed spirit that already got bodied. And then proceeds to get bodied again in this chat. Like, the thing is, the return of Kurushi did nothing except give an excuse for maybe why the domain didn't work. I don't. Oh, and to take out Takako from the fight for a little bit. I don't even think she's fully out of the fight, not mind you. I don't think she is. But I don't know, it just feels weird. Like, and I'm assuming, like I said, I'm assuming it's a health thing, right? Like, Gege just didn't feel like he could draw that in a week. And I don't blame him. However much time he had to draw it, I don't blame him, because drawing is hard. Like, legitimately, drawing is simply not the easiest thing on the planet to do, especially if you're a weekly mangaka. So I don't blame him. But at the same time, the bait was too good. Like, the sheer idea of it was too good. Like, the things you could have done. Like, for any of my fellow artists out there who are much more skilled than I, draw what this battle could have looked like. Like, imagine Ishigori's coming out first, only to get consumed by Takako's, only to get fought back by Yuta's. And like, it's this endless cycle of domain fighting. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Legitimately, like, the temptation and excitement was mounting too high. And it's not like you had to do anything crazy. Like, you didn't have to suddenly, like, go into a super in-depth explanation, super high detail on how multiple things stack up and brawl and fight against you. You literally could just show me the domain, like, show me the domain breaking down from the inside, not from the outside. Like, it's cool. I've seen the outside of barriers before. Sure, I haven't seen them forming, I don't think. But I've seen the outsides of barriers before. You don't have to show me them cracking apart. I've seen that. Just show me the inside and how crazy that mess would look like. Because now I don't think we're going to see their domains. That's the thing. Well, we may see Yuta's later. I doubt Yuta's going to die here. Narrative clairvoyance gives me high belief that Yuta's going to live through this fight. But Takako's domain, unless Yuta can incorporate it into his domain, I don't think we're ever going to see that. Ishigori's domain, unless he suddenly switches on the dime and does what I've been begging him to do and team up with Yuta, I don't see that changing. I don't see us ever seeing that again, unless it becomes part of Yuta's domain. Yuta's domain, I expect we'll see. He's probably going to use that. The whole reason, a second sub-reason why Gege hypothetically killed the domain battle before we could actually see it is because he doesn't want to reveal Yuta's domain yet. He wants to let us know he has one so we can speculate on it, but he doesn't want to show it to us yet because these aren't the kind of people that deserve it. Or like, Yuta's end goal is Kenjaku himself, or Geto, or what? Well, he views him as Geto, but it's Kenjaku, right? So it's likely that if we ever do see Yuta's domain expansion in action, it's going to be against him. That's where we're likely going to see it. And unfortunately, Ryu and Takako are not Geto, so we aren't going to get to see it. But man, it was just such a hype. I'm not going to stop complaining. Let me just continue with the chapter, all right? But the barrier collapses, and I will admit, it's a very cool thing. I just, like, once again, I just don't know where was Kurushi? Like, I don't even know where he came from. Is that a thing? Like, once again, I miss things a lot, and that's why I love having a comment section, because y'all tell me when I miss stuff. Like, I missed stuff in a Black Clover review, y'all instantly corrected me for that, and I greatly appreciate that. So, JJK readers, can you tell me where Kurushi came from? Was he hiding on one of them, and then he just grew to full size suddenly? Like, where am I missing? What happened, and where did Kurushi come from in order to get invaded the domain? Because I will admit, it is a foil, and when I say foil, I mean foil panel, where we get to see the barrier collapse, fully shatter, and all four of them are just in the sky. You see Kurushi crossed up with the festering life blade. You get to see Takako floating there in the heavens. You get to see Yuta looking Super Saiyan. Ishigori puffing his coat. Like, it's a really cool shot. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's heat. And the barrier pieces falling around. It's a very, very, very beautiful, gorgeous double spread. But I just don't know where Kurushi came from. I really would love to see the double spread of a triple domain battle. Whatever. But of course, once again, I love the analytical minds in JJK, right? Because in your lesser, I hate to say lesser, but in a more common battle shonen, typically, even if weaknesses are wide known, or like small details are there and could be capitalized on, typically won't be. It's just a thing that won't happen. But something like JJK, the moment Yuta saw that Takako's attention was off him, he instantly capitalized. Like, in the same moment, they didn't even hit the ground. That's how fast he capitalized. Like, Takako looked at Kurushi, which was a tricky opponent for her, because I'm assuming the cockroaches can fly around him as a per spatial manipulation. But Yuta looked, saw that, and instantly appeared behind her and kicked her in the back of the neck. Like, I don't even know how he did that. Can he fly? Is that him using Takako? No, but his terse technique isn't active. We learn that at the end of the chapter. So I'm not exactly sure how he shifted in midair like that. Because, like, Takako, at least in the shot where he sees her look away, it looks like she's decently far, and Yuta doesn't seem to have any propulsion to launch himself off of, so maybe he just flew a little bit. But regardless, he kicks her down. And notably, I do like the wombo combo, because essentially what happened is Takako was, like, accepted as the weakest link. Like, everyone there instantly realized, oh, she's got to go down, because she, not only her curse technique is shut down, she doesn't seem to appear as durable, and she's distracted. So Yuta starts off the wombo combo with a kick to the back of the neck. Kurushi lunges in the moment she touches the ground, and she goes to bend space. However, due to the fact that she just popped out of a domain expansion that we didn't get to see, she is unable to properly use her curse technique, because the curse techniques will burn out and become harder to use post domain expansion. And Kurushi capitalizes on this by swinging with Festering Life Blade. And of course, just as we saw before, the the other cockroaches pop out of them, which is what makes me wonder, like, is that where they came from? I don't know where Kurushi came from still. But of course, they pop out of her, and Rika, being one to optimize and capitalize, instantly takes the arm, rips it all the way off. Like, actually, now I look at it, that's weird. It seems like just the bursting of the two things out of her arm caused her arm to fall off, and then Rika took it away even further. Like, there's wombo comboing, and there's what happened to Takako. Like, she literally got jumped, like, unbelievably so. Like, she got kicked to the back of the head, got sliced with the life wrestling blade, had her arm torn off, had Rika say, and then ran off with it. Like, what happened? And the thing is, Ishigori is like, you know what? Maybe. This is my time. But notably, he does say, like, whoa, wait a minute, golly. you really are thorough. Because, like, I guess the main reason Rika, like, took it away, and, like, I'm not sure if Rika threw it or ate it. I think she threw it. I don't think she ate it. But the reason she did that is to essentially force Takako into a situation where she wouldn't just be able to reattach her arm through reverse curse technique, but she'd have to physically regrow it, like a curse would. And notably, I do believe, like, every single person here has insanely high amounts of cursed energy. Like, none of them exactly seem worn out from using their curse technique this much. Not whether it be Yuta, whether it be Ishigori, whether it be Takako, they all seem to be perfectly fine in terms of how much curse energy they have left. But obviously, for a human to essentially mimic a curse and the ability to just a whole body, like even Hazenoki way back when, it feels weird saying way back when because it was just the last arc, but even Hazenoki, he was throwing out like eyeballs, teeth, a finger or two. He wasn't regenerating like whole limbs. Takako's whole arm is gone. She better pray she ain't a Namekion on the Lolo, because she gonna need that arm back. But of course, we see that Takako is like, she has a very managed reaction to the fact that she just lost her arm. Like, she's really like, how dare you take my arm, Fujiwara? Like, I mean, once again, assassin, she likely has some pain training, but that's a whole limb. Like, I'd probably go into shock for a little bit. I'd be like, oh, my left arm. The whole thing. You took the whole thing. like, the calmness within her, other than, like, obviously the Fujiwara part. Crazy, dog. However, we get to see that with everything, Ishigori decided to finish the Wombo comment and be like, you know what? Uro, Takako, whatever your name is, you haven't been invited to the meal. I'm sorry. It's a bit too scrumptious for someone of your kind. And we get to see that Ishigori's technique is essentially just curse energy release. Which, it's weird to say, but it definitely reminds me of Nen, where essentially the simpler your technique is, the less conditions it has for activation and like usage. Because essentially what is put here is that since his technique is literally just releasing cursed energy, which every sorcerer can do, since that's his only thing, he's the only one that can maintain max output, whether or not has access to his curse technique or not, because it's just a basic thing that any sorcerer can do. Heck, Yuji, someone with no curse technique at all, can release curse energy through attacks. So someone like Ishigori, whose entire curse technique is centered around that, of course, nothing would happen. And then we get to see that Ishigori, he went for a 2-for-1 special. He got the 4-for-4. Well, not the 4-for-4. He got the 2 for $5.35 at McDonald's, because he blasts both of them up. Like, Uro and that's the thing. Like, why even bring back Kurushi? Because Kurushi and Uro both get shot in the mouth. Like, legitimately, Uro sees the blast coming towards her and is unable to react. At the same time, Kurushi sees the blast coming towards him and is unable to react. And shockingly enough, Yuta's looking like, oh, really? We're doing this? Like, and notably, even while Rika doesn't seem too shocked, she still has her third eye open, or like her main eye open, meaning she's still ready to fight back. But even Yuta's still looking like, I mean, I didn't know it was like that. But it's either, no, there's a 50-50 shot of what Yuta's thinking here. He's like, either A, I didn't know it was like that, or B, like, Ishigori, you stole my points. Like, he was like, I was gonna get rid of her. I put in all the work, gosh darn it. You give me my gosh darn 5 points back, man. Come on now. And of course, we get to see that, notably, Takako, she's burned, and this is just a testament to durability that Takako has shown. Like, Takako has been getting bullied. And so far, there's been no real confirmation whether she has reverse curse technique or not, though I think Ishigori kind of does indirectly confirm it. But at the same time, she's been eating some hits. Like, she got wombo comboed last chapter, the chapter before, by literally the last chapter, by Rika and Akotsu, then proceed to get into a domain battle, then proceed to have her arm torn off, then proceed to get blasted in the chest with granite blast, and her body's still intact. Like, it is actually insane how much raw durability she has, and it's likely while her curse energy is still all a mess right after domain expansion, she's still there. Meanwhile, Kurushi, he had half his body blown off. So in terms of durability, Takako is way above Kurushi. And notably, this is Kurushi's kid. So possibly, it's the case that it's less durable than the original body. However, regardless of how durable it is, with a quick grab from Yuta, the whole thing's destroyed. And once again, I'm sorry, I keep going back to this just because I was so excited to see a domain v domain v domain. But Kurushi was introduced just to stall and maybe take Takako out of the battle for now. Like, let's see, how many pages is Kurushi last? Including double spreads, Kurushi reappeared for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages. Kurushi lasted, and 10 pages is including its death page, where Yuta once again blasts it with reverse curse technique and just absolutely annihilates the thing. But the thing is, he was only used to stall. And while I am very excited for the battle between Okotsu and Ishigori that is built up here, because we see that this was essentially always going to be the final boss battle, because Ishigori stands up ready for battle, meanwhile Yuta stands up ready for Rika, and it says come, the table is set, and it's cool to see Ishigori preparing, fixing his hair, loading up an attack while Yuta stands with Rika right behind him. But like, once again, like I opened up the video with my exact thoughts. This feels very anticlimactic. Well, I'm very happy that Ishigori's getting what he wants, and I'm glad that Yuta is ready for the challenge, right? Because the chapter ends with Ishigori pointing his left finger right at Yuta with a blast aiming directly at him. He's essentially using his finger as a scope, and he sees Yuta as that delicious bake shop that he always imagined. Meanwhile, Okotsu is revealed to have his curse technique not recovered yet, but Rika is still there to support him, so it's likely that he's not going to run out of curse energy and it's just as durable as before, and he seems to be fully healed. He just has remaining battle damage marks on him. Cool. Great. Underwhelming. I don't know. It feels like Akutami Sensei wanted to grab well, to be fair, that's a manga tactic though. Like, it's very rare for a mangaka to leave off with a really, really cool proposition and then completely follow through with it. So notably, I shouldn't be complaining, because this is the norm, right? But it's weird to say I expect better. Once again, it's not like I'm angry, I'm just disappointed. Like, we didn't get to see anything truly revolutionary in this chapter. Sure, the jump was cool, I will admit. The jump out of the jump out of the barrier, a very cool shot. The jump on the jump on Takako, very, very cool. But I don't know, this end conclusion, a battle that we already started to see, like, unless Ishigori pulls out some insane new tactics, he's just gonna get jumped and bullied. Like, we gotta realize, unless Ishigori was drastically suppressing himself, Yuta alone, before Takako interfered, was already packing up Ishigori. Yuta has nothing to fear now, considering he still seems to have time left on his full merge with Rika. Rika has achieved a new level of curse energy output, so essentially, Yuta is essentially at the exact same point he was when he fought Ishigori the first time, except he's fresh up on curse energy. His curse technique is shut down, but he wasn't using that anyway, and the remaining curse storage carrier that he has right next to him just achieved a new level of output, so essentially he has an Ishigori on his side. It's Ishigori versus Ishigori plus Yuta, essentially. And the one Ishigori can fly around. Like, I'm not exactly expecting, like, I'm hyped just because I think Ishigori is a really cool character, and I like that this is going to be his conclusion, but I'm not hyped in the sense that this is going to be something new, unless, like I said, unless Ishigori was somehow drastically suppressing himself in that first fight with Yuta just to savor it. And to be fair, you can definitely say that. Ishigori does seem like the kind of dude who would hold back the moment he finds out that, oh, shoot, I can actually have some fun here. He definitely seems like the Saiyan type of character where he wouldn't go all out from the start. But at the same time, the amount of the leap that Ishigori would have to make to contend with this Yuta, even if his curse technique is shut down, is wild, crazy, stupid. And I'm assuming next chapter is literally just going to be Ishigori may have the upper hand for like the first 5 to 10 pages, but then Yuta's going to start bullying him. Luckily enough, we don't have a break next week, but still, I don't really see how this is going to be conclusionary. The only way this could be saved, like I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna say it is the first miss that we had since Yuta was introduced, because it didn't deliver in the way I expected it to, and the alternative way it did deliver wasn't the most hype. But the only way that Gege can be like, fine, you didn't like that triple domain expansion, okay, if he lets Ishigori roll with Yuta, like if the two literally come to a conclusion and they're like, okay, so you're telling me you want to fight everybody, and Yuta's like, yeah. Okay, what's up? And no, Ishigori literally be like, okay, what's up? And he was like, you know you're everybody. No, I want to come with you. If you're this strong, and you think there are other people anywhere near as strong as you, why would I want to die right now? Let's just go. We can't go anywhere. We already extinguished all the sources. Here, take my points. Hands over the points. Go ahead and make an inner barrier rule or whatever. Let's go. Like, I think that would be cool. Because notably, I don't know how, once again, it's an issue that I brought up a few chapter reviews ago, but how is Yuta going to get the points here? Unless there are a whole bunch of fodder sorcerers running around that happen to be evil, I don't see it within Yuta's moral compass to start going around and start randomly offing people, and notably, not a single sorcerer has shown up ever since this fight started to capitalize on anything. So, unless these two somehow come to an agreement, kind of like the Megami and Reggie thing, where Ishigori ends up sacrificing his points to Yuta, I'm not sure where Yuta's going to go from here, unless there are just a whole bunch of hidden sorcerers running around and Yuta has to go play hide and seek. But overall, I still give the chapter it's a strong 7. It's a strong 7 because the visuals in this chapter are pretty cool, though it does feel like a direct downgrade from what could have been. And I'm sorry, I just like the idea of what could have been so much. I know, that's me being greedy. I shouldn't be greedy. I should be appreciative for what Gege Sensei has blessed me with. But gosh darn it, I'm feeling greedy. 7 out of 10 for me. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that little notification bell. Make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also do a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Also make sure you don't forget to vote on tomorrow's poll, dropping at 12 noon. Also, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.